All right. This is a very special podcast of a very inspiring couple, John and Libby. They are semi-retired and they joined us in our Maldives diving coral restoration program. Their story and what they were able to accomplish on their trip blew their mind. You will hear it in their own words. This was their first time volunteering with us abroad, and it will certainly not be the last. This diving program changed the way they will see fish and coral and any dive trip they will ever do for the rest of their lives. Get ready for a story where they walk us through what it was like figuring out what is volunteering abroad, why do they want to do it, what it's really like on the ground, and the incredible stories of impact and cultural immersion that they had in the Maldives with our team. This one's a fun one. Let's jump right in.
Hello.
Hi, are you Zoe?
Yes, I'm Zoe. Hi, John. How are you?
Good. Is Libby in here too?
Yes, I've got Libby as
Hi,
well.
Joey.
Hi. I am so excited to talk to you both. Wow. What an amazing journey you just got back from.
We,
The whole team over here at GoEco has been talking about your stories you've sent us, and like it's just you guys, the way you like were writing those messages and telling us updates along the way, it's just so special. Not everybody takes the time to do it, but it's like we love it when you do. So, wow, I'm so excited to chat with you. So, first, are you settled in at home? Are you guys have you settled in? Is the shock of the trip gone yet, or how are you?
Well, we did a re-entry and the landing was pretty good. And we hit the ground running as soon as we got home. And we went right back to work and it's been day after day after day. Yesterday was our first day to like stop since
yeah.
Wednesday. And so,
Yes.
but we're all caught up. We swam a mile this morning, so we're back in the game.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, let's start from the very beginning. I kind of want you guys are just such an interesting couple, and it's amazing what you guys are doing. So tell me, it's just from the beginning, what made you want to do this volunteering trip with Go Eco in the first place? So talk me through finding us and being inspired to do this sort of a trip.
We just ran into an ad online, and we're retired now somewhat. And so we were wanting to travel more. And we were scuba divers. And then I think it was on YouTube. I clicked on GoEco, and it was an advertisement. And I showed that to my wife, and then we started to research it. And the more I looked at it, the more interesting it got. And we're a very adventuresome couple, and
Mhm.
just decided, hey, well, let's just try to contact these people and see what this is about. And the more we researched it, and the deeper we got into it, the more we realized, wow, this could be a really interesting program.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, we eventually dropped some money on it. We paid our down payment, and then we started doing the paperwork, went through all the red tape, and you guys were really great about leading us through it and following up with us and making sure that we had all the documents and whatnot. And then when we finally left for Maldives, which we were getting more and more excited the as the date approached, when we like Libby said, when we took the speedboat from Nefar or from Male to Nefaro, that's when we realized we're on some kind of a mission here. And
Mhm.
so that's when we started to embrace the idea of like we don't really know what this is going to be, and so let's just go into it with an open mind. And it just so it was mind blowing experience. It was just it so
Incredible.
perfectly suited for the two of us. And I'm really thrilled with how it came out. I mean, I don't know if that answers your question, but
Yeah.
um, I could go on and on and on and on and on, and I do talk a
Yeah.
little sometimes. So
No, that's amazing. We definitely will. And how about you, Libby? Sorry, I had to mute you a little bit while he was chatting because of the echo. But
Yeah, I'm moving upstairs because of that.
okay,
Yeah.
perfect. We can hear you now. So, okay, so how about from your perspective? How does that resonate?
Well, yeah, we as soon as he said, we could restore coral, work on coral reef restoration, I just fell in love with the idea because we have we kind of quit scuba diving for like 27 years. And we
Hmm.
started back in last January and we noticed a change in the coral.
Yeah.
So we definitely wanted to see if there was any way we could help out and
Okay.
to make things better.
Amazing. So when all of our applicants apply on our website, we do personal interviews with everybody. So you guys went through that process, and we really at GoEco believe in matching people to the correct program. So it sounds like that was, a good match for you guys. Do you
Yeah,
feel that with your goals and us walking through that process in the beginning, that you felt that you were placed in the right placement and it achieved your kind of goals that you were looking for?
absolutely. Don't you, John?
well, I got to say, going into it, um, I think someone asked me like, what are your expectations? What do you expect to get out of this? And 2025 was what it was for us. I told them at that time, I said, you know what? I don't have any expectations. I mean, I'm just grateful to get one more day, and that we are here to do this is like such a bucket list item, and something that we never really anticipated, or we never really thought about doing it until we got hooked up with you guys. And so I know we both went into it with a really open mind about, we kind of had an idea of what we might get into, but we were really very, very blown over the top with how it rolled out and the support that we had, the professionalism of the people that are involved, the other volunteer participants who were involved, all stellar people. And it was really interesting because we were like the oldest people that were on site at the time,
Yeah.
and everybody was considerably younger than we were, and they just loved us. I mean, they just took us open arms, and we did everything with those guys, and we hooked up with the people at the the Marine Conservation Center, and we did a lot of activities with those guys. But we were connected with the dive center, the scuba center, with Jade Martin, who was just, I mean, so, so perfectly suited for that job.
Oh, definitely.
And we connected with her immediately. The educational value of what we were able to get from working with her and others there, it was way over the top of anything that I could have ever
Oh, we
hoped.
learned so much.
Amazing. That's amazing. So, a very common question we get from our travelers who are above the age of even 30, to be honest, is like, am I going to be the oldest? What's it like? I don't want to really be like out of place. And we love to tell them, let me know if you agree. It sounds like obviously you meshed really well, but the atmosphere of conservation and everybody there with a very intentional purpose and all for the same kind of cause, that team kind of, you're joining a team of people from around the world, different ages and different backgrounds, and you're really there with a shared purpose, and that really supersedes all those kind of differences, and it really brings people together.
Right.
Does that
Yeah.
resonate? It sounds like you did really well, but
Yeah, yeah. Now
what
there
would you
are
say
a
to
lot
somebody
of
else?
people
Yeah.
there. There were a lot of people there who were with different volunteer programs, and not everyone was with GoEco.
Mhm.
And we all saw through that immediately. It was like it doesn't matter because there was a commonality of interests of why we were all there, despite the ages, despite the genders, despite the nationalities, despite wherever cultural differences, national languages. We were all able to just cut right through that and get to the core of why we were there was everyone that was involved had just an utmost passion for wildlife and natural resources, and
Yes.
were wanting
Love of
to
nature.
contribute and volunteer in a way that would, you know, like you said, in a team effort, do something much, much greater than any one of us or any of the people there could have accomplished on their own. And that became obvious. And the sense of camaraderie and teamwork was, it was just great fun. So it
Yeah.
was super great fun. Yeah.
Amazing. Cool. So you were there for 2 weeks on our marine coral gardening and reef conservation program in the Maldives there. I like to always ask, like, do you feel like 2 weeks was too short or that you really did accomplish quite a bit in the 2 weeks? Or what advice do you have to other people who are considering 2 weeks or longer in that
I
context?
think 2 weeks, I don't know, Libby, what do you think? But I think 2 weeks
Oh, well, it
was
worked
the
out
just
perfectly
right.
for us because the last day we finally got the rest of the ghost net up, and so it worked out perfectly.
That's incredible.
We
Yeah.
wouldn't have been able to accomplish that in a week. We wouldn't have been able
No.
to like there was objectives, there was goals, and 1 week would have not we would have left unfinished. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
then longer than 2 weeks, I'm not so sure because now for younger people I would say yes,
Mhm.
but at our age it was really physical. I mean
Hmm.
they had us moving
Yeah.
constantly.
Yeah.
There was no downtime, and the tasks were very very physical, and so which
Hmm.
we like that, and so that is something people in an older age bracket they need to be kind of conscious of going into that kind of program.
Yeah.
It was very very rigorous, but we loved it. I mean we
Yeah.
like that kind of stuff,
But
and
it was kind of coincidental too because Jade was leaving right after we left, and we really clicked with her, and uh we would have had to start all over with another person as dive master.
Mm.
And so it worked out perfectly for us. It really did.
Yeah.
It was
Good.
awesome.
Okay.
Mhm.
So you're in your messages you would send us along the way, you described your first days there as mind-blowing. So, what would you say hit you the hardest and like when you really realized what was actually like involved in this program in those first few days? Walk me through like the initial blowing your mind kind of moments.
Livy, why don't you run with that? I'll bet we agree on this.
Well, just the island and the people and how wonderful everybody treated us. Um, and it it was just it was just mind blowing.
Well, I'll add to that because we went through the orientation. Georgina did an amazing job from Kenya. We're great friends now,
Oh
and
yeah, Regina.
uh, so we went through the orientation, and then uh, just before we had dinner, then we got a message from the Marine Center that they were doing surgery on an olive ridley sea turtle and that we were invited to come watch if we wanted to.
Yeah.
Well, we thought, oh, heck, yes, we got to go see this. So we ran back over before dinner and they were in a surgery, an operating room that was screened off and they had an observation window that we could look through. And Majo was she was the surgeon and she was from Ecuador, and then there was a young woman from Spain who was doing the anesthesia. And there was another gal, Sean, who was helping and assisting with other matters. But they were basically amputating the left front flipper of an olive ridley sea turtle that had gotten hung up in a ghost net that we still didn't understand what a ghost net was,
Hmm.
and was really badly infected, and that they were amputating this and that whole marine center was every aquarium was filled with had a turtle from something similar like this. And it was after that at dinner that Jade took us aside and she said, would you guys be interested in helping me remove the ghost net?
Mm.
And I thought, oh, right now. Are you serious? And I didn't know what we were getting into. So
Yeah.
she said, it's all piled up right next to the coral nursery that we have, and we got to get it out of there because the current's going to put it right on top of all the coral anyway. But she said, I don't know how this is going to go, but little bit by little bit, we might be able to get some of it out of there. So we didn't know what we were getting into. Our very first dive, we went down there and she handed us a pair of clippers and we just got it. I'm telling you what, Zoe, you couldn't see 6 inches in front of your face. The visibility went to zero. And
Wow.
there was such a wad of this stuff, and it had all piled up. But by then we knew what ghost netting was, and they explained what the problem is, and that it's illegal.
That's what the turtle got caught in, got her limb cut in.
Yeah. It looks like, did we lose John here? Okay, so it looks like we lost him. So while he's trying to rejoin, for those who might not understand ghost netting, because education is really important to our programs and trying to, educate also people about what's happening and why volunteers are needed and why this work really matters. So could you just briefly explain from your recollection what you learned about the ghost netting problem and how you guys really were helping that?
Well, in Sri Lanka and India, they haven't outlawed it like they have it in the Maldives. They haven't outlawed the netting like they use. Now in Maldives, they just use a pole and a line to catch fish. But these nets are still active. And what happens is they are not allowed at certain times of or in certain places in Sri Lanka and India. And so what happens is when the Coast Guard shows up, they panic and leave, and then the nets just take off. So it's just like a ghost is fishing.
Mhm.
And this, and they get all tangled and clumped together. And at least in this case, and Jade said it was the biggest ghost net she'd ever seen. And turtles, when the babies go out to sea, they try to find like a log or something to hide in, and they'll spend uh, a lot of their lifetime on that log in mid-sea and until they get bigger. And so that's you can understand why they would go to that netting to just
Mhm.
kind of survive and then they get caught and
Yeah.
it's really pretty sad, but it really did bring me to tears to see how everybody was so dedicated to rescuing the turtles and making them healthy. And uh, there was one little turtle that had gotten caught in the net and he hadn't been able to eat. Uh, and but he was actually the one that was most hopeful because he didn't get hurt.
Mm.
And he but his shell was soft because he couldn't eat. And so they were feeding him and he got released shortly after we left. And it was just wonderful. I mean, the whole project was kind of it all came together.
Yeah. That's amazing.
And we
Yeah.
ended up getting all of the netting out. By our last day, there was a big wad of it
Yeah.
left, and we weren't sure we were going to be able to get that. And so
And
Jade brought that. She brought a huge lift bag, and we went down and hooked it up, and it pulled that thing right up. And then we got underneath of it and manually were literally pulling it up out of the sand. And we ended up getting that entire wad. There was no netting left when we left, and that was our last day. And it was one of the most gratifying things. And this was
yeah,
Zoe. This was in addition to the coral work. We were doing the coral work all along at the same time with the classroom stuff. We were able to pick up coral fragments, collect coral fragments. We were able to attach them to the frames. We had table nurseries, frame nurseries, tree nurseries, cleaning the nursery, and so we had all that going on. Plus, they had all these additional outings, like snorkel excursions
yeah.
movie night, and we went and did karaoke with everybody one night. It was just great fun. It was just great fun.
Incredible. So, and you guys learned all about the coral restoration and that whole process while you were there. Do you feel like you have a good understanding of it now after working with the team and it truly was an educational program?
Well, I think we're qualified in terms of like if we wanted to like do the same kind of thing at another nursery or another coral garden rather. I think we would I think we got a really good handle on, you know, what the expectations are and how to do it and how to label things, the nomenclature, like how to label different coral frames and whatnot. We've got that
I gotta
together.
put his
And
jacket.
probably every coral project's probably going to be unique, and they probably have their own protocol. But and Libby and I are far from being any kind of experts on coral taxonomy or fish identification, but neither of us are ever going to look at coral the same way again. I mean,
Yeah, now when we swim, snorkel, scuba dive, we see coral totally different. It's just
Amazing.
awesome. And the fish identification, we learned a lot of different names for the fish, and the ones that we don't know, we kind of put them in a class so we can look it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Awesome. That's amazing. So a lot of questions we get from volunteers who are interested in joining the program is like, do you really feel like you're contributing and do you really feel like you're learning along the way? So how would you answer those questions to somebody who asked?
5 star. I'd say 5 star.
Yeah.
In that respect, I got way more from it than I expected to get. And so the experience was one, then the education was another, and then the island was that was a completely different dimension to the experience, and we haven't even talked about that. But as far as the coral restoration program, the education that we got in leading up to it from Reef Guru was excellent, and then Jade was just superior. There was one young man that was on our team. There was only the 4 of us, and he was doing his open water certification. Delightful young guy named Leo from I think it was Brisbane, and he got some of the greatest diving experience in his open water certification.
First
And he
few
was
dives.
right there with us, you know, working on ghost netting and working on the coral frames, and just a delightful young guy. And I don't know, how old was he? 18, Libby, something like that.
19.
19.
Yeah.
Okay.
From Australia.
Incredible. That's amazing. So let's talk about the island because another reason why people do volunteering and travel is that it takes you beyond tourist resorts and tourist destinations. You really get to like immerse with yourself with the community. The island itself is just a local island and you know it's some in a lot of cases not fancy and not touristy, in some cases you know
Yeah.
really beautiful and you know in other ways. But talk me through that that experience being on a local island in the community. What was that like, and as a volunteer there?
Libby, what do you say?
Well, it was fascinating. The culture, really fun. And they were very gracious. So it was really great.
What I liked about it, it was like full immersion into a culture that was absolutely foreign to anything that we've known.
Yeah.
Mm.
But what was really interesting about it, like there was like overlap between the island experience and what we were doing under the water. And by that, what I mean is, all of a sudden, you know, you're not in Kansas anymore. Things are very different here. So we were very open to that. And I'll tell you what, Zoe, a smile goes a real long way in every instance. And so we were not the least bit reluctant to go walk about town and smile with people and engage them. And for those who spoke English, most of them approached us and they were just thrilled to get to know who we were, what we were doing there, and Let's see, am I still there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
We
I
still
get
have
these
you.
calls. Okay, and then so that being said, there we could feel the culture. We would go underwater, right? And we would work with the fish, and we'd work with the coral, and it was that experience that made me realize that we're connected. Like the fish and Libby and I and all of us working there, the coral, all of us, we were all connected. And then when we would go back to the island, I know we all took that same sentiment of heart with us back to the harbor. And what it did for me is it got me to open up to the point where I realized that all of these people here, even though despite the cultural differences, we had way more in common than did we have differences. I mean, there was a language barrier for sure. There were religious things that I still don't know about, but really for those that would give us the time and for those with whom we could communicate, I realized that, man, we're way more connected than I thought originally. And in that way, we just like our experiences underwater with the fish, that's when I realized that we're really all connected. And when I go outside here when it snows out here, now I got this feeling like the snow at my feet is someday going to find its way across the gills of those great mantas in the middle of the Indian Ocean. And it's the truth. And so we're all connected. And even on a much larger scale, I have this greater sense of appreciation for that. We're connected to the moon with the tides and the currents and the sun and all the stars and the grandest of scale. We really are all one.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was one of my greatest takeaways from this experience. And there were many others. The accommodations were great. The people, they just went out of their way to make us feel welcome. And like I say, the learning experience and the people on the island are absolutely lovely. They're just as kind and just as warm-hearted as anybody I've ever met anywhere. And
That was really beautifully put. I'm so glad you put it that way too, because it is so true. These volunteering programs it's beyond the normal tourist trip. It really is. And we build connections and build communities. You really are um, impacting a community and seeing behind the scenes and, experiencing a connection that you just otherwise wouldn't. You put it so much more beautifully than I could. But yeah, that was really lovely. I'm so happy. I'm so happy to hear that. These stories like this, honestly, is what makes all of us here in these organizations that work so hard to send volunteers around the globe. Like that's what we're doing, right? Like that's creating that connection, that community, and that oneness around the globe is really a beautiful thing. So thank you so much for being part of it and for putting it that
you're
way.
welcome.
Really beautiful.
And I also felt like, I need to be an ambassador for the GoEco program. I mean, we felt like we were representing a much grander and larger effort than just the two of us. And so we were just thrilled to be a part of it. And so thank you and thank everybody there
Yeah.
for
That's
getting us
so
in.
cool.
It was
You guys are the best ambassadors for sure. So about the hotel too, because you did mention that we did make sure you guys upgraded to the upgraded accommodation in the hotel. We recommend that for everybody, honestly, who wants a little bit more privacy. You're also a couple. It's much nicer too. The volunteers' house for the 18-year-olds is a little bit rough, but it's good for that age group. So tell me, was it worth it? Like, what would you recommend to other couples, perhaps your age or around there,
oh,
about the
I
hotel?
thought I thought the hotel
Definitely.
was fabulous. Air conditioning the whole time, which is really important. And the only time we spent in the room was when we were going back to either get a shower or change clothes to go to dinner, to go to one of the events, or to go back to the dive shop to hop back in the water, or to sleep. So it's not like it's not the kind of accommodation where you're going to hang,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and which was fine with us. And the people there that managed the hotel were absolutely lovely. They were from Pakistan, and they tended
Nepal.
to every need that we had. They went out of their way to like go shopping for us if we needed anything. They cooked us meals to give us a little bit more diversity in the dietary plan of what was provided. And they were just genuinely beautiful people. And so the hotel won the island. It was called, I'm going to say, it's not the Hilton Hotel, but we didn't go in expecting that. We were just we needed a place to crash. And I'll tell you, Zoe, Libby and I spent the first 3 months of our marriage sleeping on the ground every night, sometimes in the rain. And so we're the kind of people where like, man, to have a bed with a bathroom and a shower, with an air conditioner? Are you kidding? Electricity to charge up our GoPro? No way.
Yeah.
It was everything that we needed, and the people that ran it were just stellar.
And Sarita and Gita, and they did our laundry too, and they were just really welcoming and made us feel at home.
Awesome. Looking back then, what would you say were your most, there were so many stories you guys shared with us. I know it's kind of endless. You could talk forever probably. But what were the big moments that really stood out to you that you thought like, okay, this is why I'm here. Like this is like this makes the trip, something like that.
Libby, what do you say?
Well, it's definitely the release of the ghost net and
Yeah.
getting it up on the boat. Made me feel totally accomplished. I think everybody else too. And yeah, that was the real pinnacle.
I agree with that. And then on a different level, some of the moments that stand out was some of the interaction that we had with the other volunteers. Like just for fun, we would go out. We did like a karaoke night, and it was it was hilariously fun. And then we did a movie night with them
on the beach.
And I got to tell you, Zoe and I left feeling 20 years younger after that.
Yeah.
It was hilariously great fun. In fact, when we left the island, the younger people that we connected with, which was the majority of them, they walked to the harbor with us to see us off, which they didn't do. And it was a hot afternoon, but they felt compelled to come say goodbye. And we've connected with all of them. And so that stood out. A lot of the other activities that we did, I found myself in particular with one-on-one with a lot of these younger people. We had these conversations that would go really, really deep. You know what I mean? We get right into these, really heavy duty conversations. And I was thrilled to go there. And, but I don't know that I would feel comfortable talking with just anybody like that, but because we were all had the common thread of volunteerism and we knew that all of our time there would be short-lived. We wanted, I think, to make the most of it to get to know each other as well as we could. And so those things.
And we made bracelets out of ghost netting.
Wow.
Yes, kind of make something good out of something bad.
Oh, you took it with you. That's
Yeah.
incredible. That's amazing. What a special like thing to carry with you. I'd love your perspective on a lot of people don't even understand the concept of like volunteering and traveling. So for someone who might be new to that and thinking like, why would I want to work on my vacation or, all the initial kind of shock kind of questions when they hear it. How would you explain it in a nutshell? The concept, what it is, and is it worth it?
Well, what we learned was just amazing. And to see the young people so devoted, it still makes me want to cry. And yeah, we just learned a lot, and getting immersed into the culture was just so memorable. You won't ever forget that. You may forget other vacation details and stuff, but the things we saw and the way the people lived, and it was definitely something we'll take to our grave. Always remember.
I can add to that a little. The one thing that volunteerism at this level and this program, the GoEco program, create a stream of memories that's truly unforgettable. And
Yeah.
for me, that was the value, and that was the gold of this experience, was to be able to walk away with memories. Libby and I, since we've been home, we've been talking to people about this, and they can feel the power and the energy of of our experience, so much so they definitely want to know more about it. We spent 2 more weeks in Maldives, and
Yeah.
we did like 4 days at Bandos, and then we jumped on a dive boat and we went south. And
Nice.
like Libby said, we're not looking at coral the same way. We're just not
Yeah.
we're not looking at fish the same way. Island experience and the people we met, and GoEco, you guys are the bomb, man. I'm telling you, man. You guys are
Yeah. You took
the,
really good care of us right through, right after we got off the plane, right through when we left the island. Yeah. You took really good care.
For people who are looking at this program specifically and they're not sure if it'll be the right fit for them, what would you say is like who would get the best out of this program? What type of person or if you're going to recommend a type of person to go, or if they're looking to go, what would you say are your best tips for making sure they do get the best out of this experience on this program?
well, I've created a beehive of like bullets that address that. Like I've just got a list of things that work for us on this, and I'll just recite them off if you want. Okay, like I
Yeah,
call
go
them,
for it.
it's like a beehive because they're all like how to be. And this might not work for everyone, but
Mhm.
what worked for us was we had to be courteous,
Mhm.
professional. We had to be team players. We had to be cooperative. We had to be optimistic. We had to be positive and be proud. We had to be kind. We had to be curious, and we had to be humble. And you have to be happy and be forgiving, be understanding, be compassionate, be modest, be jovial, be imperfect. And that is really important.
Yeah.
And be determined. That's how we got that net out. Be loving, be smart, be fun, open, be respectful, which is huge.
Mm-hmm.
And the last two are the most important. Is you got to be yourself. And for me, I have to be grateful.
But that's wonderful. And there is a large cultural difference. For our female volunteers, Libby, actually, do you have any tips for them for experiencing that culture or making sure they feel comfortable there?
Well, you have to cover your knees and shoulders. And so I got some linen clothes. Uh,
Mhm.
they're light, the pants and the shirts. I
Mhm.
made it out of linen, and they're light and they kept me cooler. And then I got the suit with the long sleeves and the long legs, and I actually kind of liked it.
I was asking about practical tips for volunteers going soon in terms of like what they should bring and prepare for with the culture difference or, so on and so forth. Any tips from you?
Yeah, just
Um,
keep it covered, light covered clothing
yeah,
for the heat, and brings us a lot of suntan lotion, sunscreen, and drink water all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay. And so any final words then about the program?
This program in particular, I would say, is really, really well suited for people who want to get utmost diving experience as well as marine and reef ecology education. I think it's just premium. It's the kind of education you're not going to get in academia. This
Hmm.
is the kind of thing, and Libby and I have always thrived on that kind of thing. We work really well together. We've worked really hard all of our lives together. And so we were perfectly suited for this because we love to dive. We love everything about fish. We love everything about coral. We love everything about water. We love to swim. And if those are the kind of things that you enjoy doing, the guidance and the coaching that you're going to get from GoEco in the coral restoration program on the Faro, I tell you, I just couldn't imagine better. It was head and shoulders above anything that we expected, and we really didn't know what we were going to get into. But by nature of the education that you guys provided for us going into it, we realized, hey, this is the real deal. This is the real deal.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes hard to find a program that will take you in like you guys did with us. And so we're just really grateful for the opportunity and the experience. And for those who have interest, who share interest in these things and have a passion for marine life and for the ocean and have a passion for the sand and coral and the interconnectedness of all of these things. Oh, I think this is just tremendous opportunity, and I would encourage anybody to just leap on board with this, and don't be afraid to trust this program. Don't be afraid to trust in it, because you know what? Without risk, there is no reward. But I'm telling you, the rewards that we got out of this program compared to the risks, it's just way lopsided into the beautiful spectrum of existence and experience. And so I would hesitate to do it again.
I'm so happy I got to chat with you guys. It's been such a pleasure. You guys are so inspiring, honestly. Absolutely inspiring. I love it.
One
My
world,
pleasure.
all grateful. That's it.
Yeah,
All
exactly.
grateful.
I've always said gratitude's the secret to happiness, so I think we're on the same page there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. One world, all grateful. That's our mantra.
So much. Bye, guys.
Thank you, Zoe. Bye-bye. Take care.